Before we get started, I want to encourage you to go watch another video I made a while ago called Theory, the Hidden Threat Facing Green Lantern. It's all about my theory of what's really going on in the current storyline. I'm pointing this out now because the issue we're about to talk about gives some definitive answers to some things that I speculated about in that video. Speaking of which, let's get into it. Green Lantern number 9 is written by Jeremy Adams with art by Zermanico, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters by Dave Sharp. The title of this issue is Into the Green. Hal Jordan descends deeper and deeper beneath the surface of the Earth, in a tunnel that seems to go on forever, before eventually emerging in a lush underground oasis, where he's met by his old friend Tom Kalmaku. Tom was led to this cavern by a prophetic dream linked to the fact that he was one of several humans selected by the Guardians of the Universe to become a generation of new Guardians during DC's Millennium event back in 1987. DC has an elemental force called the Green, which links all plant life in the universe. And here, in this strange underground oasis, the Green was hiding something, protecting something, but it couldn't stay hidden forever. Tom is now the last of the new Guardians, and his task was to ensure the safety of what was hidden until a lantern arrived to claim it. Hal is thoroughly confused, so Tom decides to just show him what this is all about. Tom makes contact with the massive tree at the center of the cavern, and in a blinding flash of light, the tree opens to reveal a green central battery. Tom explains that the Guardians of the Universe hid this central battery here in case something happened to compromise Oa. Going back to my other video for a moment, I was right about there being an Oan power source hidden underground, but was wrong about its purpose. And I was right about it connecting back to the Millennium event, but I was wrong about the nature of that connection. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how close I got with only a few clues to work with. And hey, putting a second central battery on Earth is very similar to a suggestion I made in another video, all about how to improve on the way the Green Lantern Corps operates. I'll link to that video at the end of this one. Give it a look if you haven't watched it already, because apparently I'm on the right track when it comes to what could potentially happen in this run. It's unclear how long this central battery has been hidden beneath the surface of the Earth. The links to the Millennium event make it seem like this has all been in place for a very long time, but it may be more recent than that. I kinda hope it is, because Oa and the central battery have been drained or blown up several times since the end of the Millennium event, so I don't know why they wouldn't have made use of this failsafe sooner. Although, to be fair, we don't actually know if this was sanctioned by all of the Guardians of the Universe or just something put in place by one or two of them acting on their own. I could absolutely see Ganthet setting this up by himself in secret. Along with the central battery, there's also a podium that appears to be housing 6 Green Lantern rings. According to Tom, the device has the ability to make more rings, but it might take a while. This right here tells me that we're probably going to see something pretty catastrophic happen on Oa that's going to annihilate the existing infrastructure. That, or maybe the whole organization has become too corrupt to save. Either way, Hal now has the tools to slowly rebuild a new Green Lantern Corps from scratch, which is an exciting prospect. According to Tom, the Guardians chose to entrust all of this to the Earth Lanterns because humans have both a high capacity for willpower and a strong urge to disobey orders, and that those traits combine to make powerful survival instincts. If the whole universe went dark, the Lanterns from Earth would fight harder than anyone to keep the light shining. We also find out that the reason there are so many humans in the Green Lantern Corps is specifically because the Guardians wanted to be ready for this kind of situation. It's an interesting idea, and it works well enough with this story. I just think it's funny how many times we've been given completely different reasons for why there are so many Green Lanterns from Earth. As Hal approaches the central battery, the homemade ring he's been using since the beginning of this run flares up and burns away. They don't come out and say it, but I think I get what's been going on with the homemade ring. Hal used the brute force of his own willpower to take scraps of Manhunter armor and make it into something resembling a Green Lantern ring. And because Manhunters are Oan technology, it could channel green willpower energy despite not being an actual Green Lantern ring. Real rings are specifically designed and programmed to do the things they do, but this one wasn't, which is why Hal had so much trouble using it. He was literally using his own willpower to force it to do things that it wasn't built to do. And the only reason it worked at all is because Hal was on Earth, close enough to this hidden central battery to tap into its power, which is why the homemade ring never needed to be recharged. This would also confirm that the reason Hal couldn't leave Earth is because he was flying out of range of the central battery, which cut power to his homemade ring. Because, again, this was never a real Green Lantern ring. It was just Manhunter tech leeching power from the central battery, since all Owen tech can run off of that power source. And getting too close to so much power caused the ring to burn up, since it was just a poor imitation that couldn't handle the real thing. Hal picks up his new ring, a real ring, and charges it at the central battery. He's finally got everything he needs to head into space, save Razor, and get to the bottom of what's going on with the central batteries of the other Lantern cores. Tom heads home and Hal heads to space. It would have been nice if he dropped Tom off on his way, since he had to take several boats and planes to get here, but Tom doesn't seem to mind taking the slow way home. What I find interesting is that now that Hal has the freedom to leave the Earth anytime he wants, it's instantly changed the way he thinks about living here. He is above the atmosphere moments after putting that ring on, but he feels comfortable with the idea of coming back before too long. Because this is where the central battery is now, life on Earth is no longer separate from his duties to the Green Lantern Corps. Earth is part of it now more than ever. That cavern may well be the new home base for the Green Lantern Corps, meaning that Hal no longer has an excuse to neglect one aspect of his life in order to focus on the other. All of this newfound freedom makes Hal realize that life has taken him and Carol in two different directions, and that he should honor the choice she's made. I swear to God, Hal flip-flops on this every single issue. But hey, Hal is finally in a place where he can let Carol go. This is what I wanted, right? I should be happy, right? The problem here is when and why Hal made this decision. Because when Hal was stranded on Earth, unable to leave, he had to fill the void in his life with something. So he kept badgering Carol, refusing to leave her alone, refusing to care about what she wanted. And then the instant that he's able to leave, he does. He leaves without saying a word to her, this person who he supposedly loves so much that he can't imagine his life without. And what kills me here is that his willingness to let her go is entirely selfish on his part. Hal didn't come to this conclusion because he grew as a person, or because he cares about what she wants. It's only because he regained the ability to go to space, and he loves that more than he's ever loved Carol. Hal heads for Oa at full speed, but something is pushing back against him. He seems to have run into whatever force is quarantining the sector, and it slows him down enough to see a massive battle raging between the United Planets Lanterns and some unknown spaceships trying to breach the quarantine zone. Hal runs into one of the Lanterns who abducted Razor, and a fight breaks out. Hal's doing okay, until a few of the Green Lanterns shift to red and capture him. He's brought to Oa as a prisoner, but on the way to lockup, he's saved by Sojourner Malene, who runs over Hal's captors with a tank. We also get an 8-page Jessica Cruz backup story written by Sam Humphries, with art by Yasmin Flores Montanez, colors by Alex Guimarães, and letters by Dave Sharp. This story is titled The Trial of Jessica Cruz. Jessica has been accused of committing treason against the United Planets, and Lord Premier Tharos is presiding over the trial. I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time it's been outright stated that Tharos was in charge of the entire United Planets. I guess we could have inferred that because of his title of Lord Premier, but I don't know what that designation means, especially not in this context. I actually used to think it was his political title on his own homeworld, and it never even occurred to me that it would represent his authority over the United Planets. I thought the United Planets were run by a big council of representatives that voted on everything, so the idea that they would have one big boss doesn't make much sense to me. But it's easier for him to be the villain that way. This story confirms that the central batteries of the other Lantern Corps are being destroyed by the United Planets Lanterns, as ordered by Lord Premier Tharos. Jessica was part of the team who was sent to blow up the Orange Central Battery, but prevented the explosion at the last minute, which is why she's now on trial for betraying the United Planets. Jessica says that she had to stop the explosion because her partner messed up and planted the bomb on the wrong part of the battery. Apparently, planting the bomb on the base of the central battery would have ruptured it without fully destroying it, and that would cause way more problems for everyone. It's an okay excuse, but the artwork doesn't match. They play a recording of the incident, and the bomb is clearly planted in the mouth of the central battery, not the base. Also, I'm sorry to have to keep bringing this stuff up, but this whole mission doesn't make sense as depicted because there is no giant orange central battery. The orange central battery is the personal power battery that Larfleeze carries around everywhere. Orange is the power of greed, so it's all about one person hoarding the power for themselves, not storing it in a gigantic communal source that can be shared. Tharos is deciding what to make of Jessica's story when what appears to be a rogue Green Lantern takes a shot at him with a sniper rifle. Jessica protects Tharos and then goes after the attacker, who manages to escape. But that's fine, because all of this was a setup to prove Jessica's loyalty to Tharos so he'd bring her into his inner circle. Now she's in a position to feed intel to Joe, the rest of the Earth Lanterns, and whoever else they've got on their side. Jessica is definitely the most unassuming of all the Earth Lanterns. She's the quiet, timid one with low self-confidence. She is the one that they'd be the most likely to underestimate. And if you twist her character motivations just right, you can make the case that she'd buy into the order that Tharos is promising to deliver, so her cover story does make sense. That's all fine. What I don't appreciate is that we finally have a story that acknowledges Jessica's time as a Yellow Lantern, and it was just a quirky little footnote that kinda makes a joke out of it, which completely glosses over the fact that becoming a member of the Sinestro Corps could have and should have been a major step in her growth as a character, as her relationship to her own fears continues to deepen and evolve. But hey, this is the first time it's been mentioned since it happened around 3 years ago, so I guess that's something. And that does it for Green Lantern number 9. What do you think? How long will it take Hal and the others to start building their own Green Lantern Corps on Earth? What do you think about Hal prioritizing his own personal freedom over his love for Carol? Do you think Jessica will make a good spy? Tell me all about it in the comments down below, and subscribe if you haven't already, because it feels like a pretty big change is right around the corner, and I can't wait to talk about it with all of you. In the meantime, thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan. We'll talk again soon.